Hey guys, it's Kelly from Chestnut Junction, and tonight we are going to show you how to do some simple sewing for primitive crafts. We are not in our normal position tonight because we want you to be able to get a close-up of the sewing machine. So hubby is behind the camera and I'm trying to see if I can pull up this live so I can see some of your comments. So tonight is not going to be a normal night, but we are going to get the job done. That's what we're here to do. And if we have any questions in the chat there, I'll try to keep an eye on them, and then hubby's going to try to keep an eye on them, and we can try to get your questions answered. So he is going to, hi Diana. Hubby's going to try to come in around me so we can get a look at this sewing machine. And we have purchased the Singer Start 1304 and we have unboxed it. And if you have bought this machine, it came with a little piece of brown paper under here, and it came with your little instruction sheet here about how to thread and how to do your bobbin. It came with a little bag of goodies. We have already put that bag of goodies down in the storage compartment in this section here. Whenever you took your power cord out, I'll just go ahead. Your power cord had a receptacle for the sewing machine, which has 3 little holes. So you want to plug that piece with the 3 little holes into the side of the sewing machine. And then the other end went into your outlet on the wall. And then this is our pedal. I couldn't remember if this had an on or off switch. But your pedal is going to go on the floor. And this is where, maybe I'll leave it up here for right now. But this is going to control the speed of your needle. And whenever you are first learning to sew, you want to do this pedal really slow. As you practice and whatnot, you'll be able to go a little faster. But when you're first starting out, we want to make sure that we go slow on that pedal. That pedal will go down below us here in a second. Well, actually, let's see if I can. We're still cramped in here. You guys can't see all the lights that we have going on in here, trying to get this illuminated well. Hi, Casey. Hi, Marlene. Oh, my goodness. There went one of our lights. Was the light helping? I think the light actually... Is the light actually helping? Mm-hmm. Oh, well. We lost a light.
I can try holding it.
It's okay. We're good. I can bring, like I said, guys, this video is going to be a little janky, but we're going to get the job done. So, you just did your, awesome, Donna, awesome. You have to message me a pic of that. Hi, Teresa. So, where are we going to next? I told you guys, sometimes I lose my train of thought. Okay. Bobbins. Did we put the bobbins down in here? Guys, I'm flubbing this up already. I need to, we lost the light. I can't see comments. We're already, just need to bring it in. Okay. This is a bobbin. All right. And your bobbin is going to go down under your presser foot. This is your presser foot. And one of the first things it shows us on our sheet here is, are we still live? Because I'm watching the video there and I'm not seeing any action.
Mm-hmm. It's live on here.
Okay. There we go. I find not wearing any shoes. Not wearing shoes helps you with the presser foot or the pedal. That's probably true. So what we're going to do is we're going to wind our bobbin. We'll start out there. And I've got my thread. And your thread is going to go here on the back. I did not have a small cream colored thread like this. So I'm going to take this piece. This is bulk, like a cone of bulk thread, and I'm going to go ahead and press that up in the bottom of my thread and make sure it's good and tight, and that will work for us to stick on the back of the machine here to wind a bobbin. So when we go to wind a bobbin, we are first going to hook it, and that's just for this machine. Let me put this down here. Like, guys, this video is going to be very organic. We're just kind of doing it as we go. So we're going to wind our bobbin, we are going to loop it through. It goes under. It goes under this little doohickey right here. Then there's a little, see this? There's a little doohickey right there. I don't know technical terms. And you're going to wrap it around there. Then they supplied you with, I believe, 4 bobbins. And do you see there's a hole up in that bobbin? We're going to put, I need to put my glasses on. We are going to put our thread up through that bobbin. And I usually hold it down with my other finger, and I will do a couple loops with it. So then it's going to roll clockwise. We're going to come over and we're going to put it down on this piece here. And you want to press it down until it clicks. And then you want to move this over to this piece. And what this piece does is keeps you from overfilling your bobbin. So then you have your you pedal down there on the floor. And this, make sure your needle is up. And we are going to hit that pedal. Yeah. Oh, my hubby said we have to turn the machine on. That would help, wouldn't it? I told you this is going to be organic. Maybe just watch this video just for poops and giggles and laugh at me. Okay, so we got our foot down there on the pedal. And now we're going to wind our bobbin. And right now I'm going pretty slow, but I can pick up the pace to make it go a little faster. And you can see that the thread's coming, feeding from our large cone back here and around this doohickey and back over here. And this piece over here is going to keep our bobbin from getting too large with thread, because you want it to be able to fit into your bobbin case. Hi Vicki, welcome. Glad to have you here with us. Okay, so if hubby can get a close-up, you can see that our thread is up against the bumper now. So that means our thread, our bobbin is full. So we can go ahead and take our foot off the pedal down there. We can bring that back over, lift up our bobbin, then take it off. Of those gadgets. I'm sure they have technical terms. Do you remember that little piece that we fed up through the hole when we started? We can go ahead and snip that off, and then we can snip off that thread. So now we can load this bobbin into our bobbin case, which is down below the presser foot. So this piece right here is removable, and we have found that it is a little tight. So to get this piece off down here, we've kind of found that if you press over here in this corner, there's like a little finger grab down under here. It tends to come off a little easier. So when you open this up, you turn it around, you have a little storage compartment. And that little bag of goodies that they included in there with you, including, they gave you a little seam ripper. It looks like some extra needles, some extra bobbins, another foot. It looks like a buttonholer, but the only thing we're really going to use is the bobbins and any extra needles if we need them. And then like a seam ripper is if you make a mistake, you can take this piece of, or take the tip of this and go under your stitches and pull them out, and then just re-sew over top of where you made the mistake. So those are the little goodies that they gave you in the box, and we're just going to store them here in this little compartment. So your bobbin case is going to be in this compartment, and there is a little finger grab here on the side. So when we open this up, we can see this little contraption going on down here. And if you watch this wheel over here, see if hubby can get it. This wheel over here on the side, it is a manual turn, meaning that you can move that needle up and down manually without hitting that pedal down there. So if you watch, whenever I turn that wheel manually, it's turning the mechanism in the bottom, and it's also raising the needle up and down. And where that comes in handy is on, I like to use the manual whenever I'm going around tight curves. Like if you're on a straight line sewing, you really don't have to use that manual. But like whenever you stop and try to turn your fabric, this is a nice little handy tool, this manual on the side, to make sure you get slow, accurate stitches. Just looking to see if anybody has any questions about what we're doing. Okay, so down here in the bottom, inside, there's going to be something called a bobbin case. And this bobbin case has, this bobbin case has a little handle on it. You want to pull that handle. I don't know if you see it from my fat fingers. Okay, you want to pull that handle, and then you want to pull your bobbin case out. So then we're going to take our bobbin, and you want your bobbin going clockwise. That's clockwise, right? Yeah. You want to put your bobbin in clockwise. And do you see how there's a little slit there? We're going to put our bobbin in, put it up through that slit, and then go left and pull it up to where it's in that slit. Okay? And then you can pull to give yourself maybe about 10 inches of thread. So that'll be what comes up whenever we load the top thread. So now we want to take our little handle again, and we want to hold on to it. And while we're holding on to this handle, it's holding on to the bobbin. So we want to bring our bobbin, our loaded bobbin in the case, back into here, and this will click in here. So just kind of fidget around with it until you feel it click back in. And ours is clicked. When I'm moving around, it's clicked in. And we're just going to leave this open for right now. Does anybody have any questions yet? So now we are going to come back up here to the top, and we still have our thread on here. So now we are going to thread our machine. And I have to look again real quick. I think it just goes directly under here. Yes, it does. Okay. So when we thread our machine, we're going to put our thread back through this metal loop, and it loads in from the front. Then we're going to bring it across the machine and bring it under, and it will go up through this area right here. Then we will bring it down. Hold on. Yes. Now I grabbed my handle here because see this mechanism? We want to make sure that our needle is up down here so that this mechanism is up. So we come down, come around this piece, then back up to the right side of this mechanism, around that mechanism. Do you see it has a slot in it? Because we want it to go through that slot. See how it's in our slot? Right there. And then come down. And there is a little slot right here. And then we're going to thread it through our needle. So you want to make sure that you don't twist this around the needle, that it goes directly down the front of the needle. And then you're going to put it between the space there on the presser foot, and then hold on to it out here to the side. You remember this thread that was down here at the bottom? Well, now we're going to come back to our manual handle over here on the side. And we're going to turn this manual handle, and when the needle comes back up, pull this thread. All right? And if you see, it went down and looped and brought up the thread from the bobbin. And I'm going to be honest and tell you, this is the most difficult thing about sewing, is threading the machine and loading this bobbin. Sewing, the stitching, that's the easy part. Thank you, Vicky. So if we want to do we think we should, do you guys want me to go through that step again before moving forward? Because I can. Because we can just pull. I'll go through it one more time. Depending on whether or not you're using this machine. And if you ever need to change colors, all you do is pop this bobbin out and pull the thread out. There's a little tail right there. So again, we have our bobbin with the open end towards us. We want our loaded bobbin with the thread to be going, we want the thread to be going clockwise. We load it into the bobbin case, put it up through the slit, go left, and take it up into this other slit. Grab the little handle here on the back, and it holds on to the bobbin. Go down here and insert your bobbin case back in and wait till it clicks. And then your bobbin is loaded. And then leave that tail. So then we come back up here. We want to make sure our needle is in the up position and that this mechanism is up, and we can do that with our handle over here on the side, because we're going to loop our thread through there. So we come through this first hook and it loads. There's an opening here in the front. Then we come under this back piece and bring it up through that little hook. Come down through this slit on the right. Come around this little arrow here. Back up, staying to the right. Looping through that mechanism right there. Coming back down. Looping through this little mechanism on the front, and then putting our thread through the eye of this needle. And be sure not to get your needle or your thread. Don't wrap your thread around that needle. That thread needs to come straight down. And then we're going to put it through these slits. Hold it out here to the side. Come to our handle. Manually go down. Bring it back up. Then pull this thread. And that thread looped through our thread down here, and we want to grab that and pull that thread. See how our thread down here is coming up? So now we can close this up. You should have two pieces of thread here. You should have your bobbin thread which is feeding from down below, and then you should have your thread that is threading through the machine, which is being fed up through the top. So now we can take this piece and we can put it back on the front. Another thing I want to mention is this is your tension right here. The 4 is the factory set tension, and that's going to be the tension on your stitches. It's already set on 4. My grandmother and my mother both told me never touch the tension on a machine, so I never have. And I'll tell you the same thing. Unless you are a seamstress and you know what you're doing, which I'm not. I know how to sew a straight stitch, so I never touch that tension. These over here are different stitches that you can do with this machine. These particular ones right here, these 3 are going to be, I believe, buttonholes, and that is with an attachment down in here. Here again, I don't do that. I don't quilt, I don't make clothes, I don't make curtains. I sew primitive items, which just require a straight line, and that is all you need. I will never even use those. These 3 right here are going to be your stitch length. I've sewed with this machine a couple times, and the machine is preset on this one on the far right. I actually like it on this one here in the middle. If you prefer that one, that's fine. I like this one because it's a little tighter, shorter of a stitch. This one was too tight. But these stitches were too long for me, so I switched that one to the middle. Down below here, I don't know if hubby can get in. There's a lever back here, and what that does is that lifts up and lowers your presser foot. So when you're going to go to put your piece in, that presser foot should be up. Once you put your material down, you're going to put that presser foot down. Under here, these are called feed dogs, and those actually are what grip your fabric and push it through. So when you're sewing, you're going to notice that these move. To replace your needle, they gave you 4 needles. If you break one or one's like not sharp enough anymore, there is a little screw here on the side. You would simply unscrew that, pull this needle down, discard it, and then take your new needle, put it back up in there, and then tighten that up again. This lever over here simply makes the stitches go backwards. The only time I use this is whenever I start and whenever I stop. Using this and making it go backwards is going to interlock your stitches over top of each other, so it's going to lock your stitches in. So, like I said, I do that whenever I start and stop. Oh, Cynthia, that's what the threading is the most difficult part. If you can get past the threading, you know, you can't stop you. So, we've gone ahead and we've done some different blue lines on here. We've got a double piece of muslin, and we're just going to show you how to do some of this. This is like a practice, and if you want to screenshot this for you to practice, you can. We did a straight line, then we did a slightly curved line, and then an arc, and then a wiggle, and then we did some V's, and then there's some square, a triangle, and then over here we actually did a doll arm, because if you're going to be doing, you know, the primitive sewing, that's actually something you would be working on, so we added that too. So let's start with our simple line, and our presser foot is up, And we lifted that up by that lever in the back. And we just want to bring this in here and kind of eye up your needle with the end of your trace line there. And I have to look and see where my petal is. So I'd like to do a few stitches, and then we're going to hit this backwards button over here, and then go back a couple stitches, because that'll lock our stitches in place. And then we're just simply going to sew along this straight line. Okay, so we sewed that line. We lift our presser foot back up. We're going to pull our piece out, and then there is a cutting tool over here on the right, or it's actually in the left. So that cut our thread for us. Then I like to take these ends and just pull them out a little bit, because if they're too short and you go to start your next piece, they will just go right down into the machine. So always make sure that your tail over here is several inches long. Oh, you're welcome, Vicki. And see how double stitching over that locks your thread in place at the start and the end. So we'll come in and do our slightly curved line. And this time we won't lock the stitches. We'll just go ahead and just sew, and we won't lock those stitches in place. So we came to the end of our line. Lift up your presser foot, pull your fabric out, come over here, cut, and pull your threads. Thanks, Marlene. Hi, Christine. So now we will move on to our arced line. Honey, you doing okay? Okay. So with this one, I'm going to lock those stitches again by using our little reverse button over here. So now we're getting a little bit of curve, and we can slow down our speed to make sure that we're sewing and having accuracy on our traced line here. And you're not always going to be on that traced line, so don't worry about that. As long as you're close, it's fine.
You might want to say so much is driven by the pressure you put on the foot pedal. Of course,
What's that?
The foot pedal pressure plays a big part in it. Of course, the harder you press the pedal, the faster
Yes,
it goes.
the
So
faster you go, the easier it is it's going to be to make mistakes. But we did really slow stitching, and we stayed pretty accurate on that. So we're going to move on to our like S line now. But when you get to a place where, like, okay, you know, these are tight, I'm having a hard time with it, don't forget you can manually use this wheel over here. See, because right now you can see I can sew with that, like when we're going around curves. But I would not recommend going really fast when you're doing curved lines. And then did you see how I just made an adjustment? We're on a curved line. I lift it up. So it's getting a little curvy for me again, so I can lift it up again. Lift it up again. All we're doing is adjusting the fabric to work around.
Think of it like a gas pedal on a car.
Am I pushing up and down on the foot pedal? Is it? Yes. You want to think of it as like the gas on a car. Like whenever you're at a red light, you know, you gotta, and like these are caution signals and, you know, stop signs around here. We have to stop and adjust to the needle. Like our traced line is never going to change. So what we're doing is working this traced line around the needle. And I know that probably sounds difficult, but it's so is not difficult. And like right now, I'm going slow to try to show you guys how to do this. But once you start doing this, it just becomes second nature. And most of the time, you're not going to have curved lines like this when you're sewing primitive items. And that's my goal, is to get you guys sewing primitive items. Most of the time for primitive items, you're going to be sewing straight lines. But I think I'd be failing you if I didn't show you how to do these more difficult, these more difficult lines. Do I start sewing from the left or the right side?
I start right side.
I think we start on the right side. Yeah, the curves, like I said, the machine is there to stitch for you. Our job is to maneuver the fabric. You see I'm turning this now? We're maneuvering the fabric to the needle. And all along, I'm adjusting my foot. I keep my hand on, can you show Miss over here? I keep my hand on this. I don't know if you can get that or not. You guys hear me now? Now we lost our comments.
Testing, testing.
Can you guys hear me now? You didn't hit mute on there or anything, did you?
They can hear you now.
Okay. I've lost my comments, though. You can see the comments, right? Guys, yeah. I'm sorry. Like I said, this isn't our normal setup.
Ask, you lift the presser foot up every time you pivot, right?
Yes, every time that you adjust this fabric, you want to lift that presser foot up so you can freely move your fabric around.
And make sure, too, that your needle is down in the fabric when you pivot it, because I've made the mistake of having my needle up and lifting my presser foot up, and my fabric has nothing but grip, and it just falls out.
Okay, we'll show you what he just said. Because hubby sews. That's how we're able to make his.
There we go.
Make sure that your needle is in your fabric, because if we go to adjust, see how our needle isn't in the fabric holding it in place, and so when we're going to adjust our fabric, the fabric's going everywhere. So we want to make sure, see how needle in place, down in the fabric, lift the presser foot and turn. I so wish I could see the comments. So now we're going to lift up our presser foot, move our thread, or move our fabric out here. Another thing that may happen is sometimes you may pull this out and it's like, oh, my thread doesn't want to give. My thread is stuck. When that happens and it feels like your thread's stuck, come back over here to your handle, which is going to control your needle, and then just kind of go like this with it, and it'll pull that back up out of there so it's not stuck. Why aren't we getting why are we not getting comments?
I think that's happened to other people on Facebook too.
We're still here. I'm trying to see if I can get comments to come up. There we go. Okay. All right. So now we're going to move on to this line right here. And lower our foot. Pick up, turn. Pick up, turn. Lift the presser foot and turn. Lift presser foot and turn.
No, we're not backstitching as we turn.
No, we're just doing a straight stitch. So on curves, you're going to want to go. No, I'm noticing now. Oh, it's going off that blue line a little bit. So I need to come in, lift up my presser foot, and adjust my fabric. Well, it's looking like I'm going to go off that line again. Okay, come in, lift up my foot, adjust my fabric.
Yes, Marcy, we do backstitch beginning and end to lock the threads in place.
Yeah, whenever we begin, we do a back stitch, and then at the end we back stitch. I can show you right here. And that'll lock your threads in place. Oh, gotta come up here and cut this off. So this last piece, see, you guys, can you see where we've sewn on all of our lines? And then this last piece is going to be, this is a doll arm. So I will go ahead and show you how to do that. And like with this doll arm, you're seeing the largest majority of this is a straight line. We have a curve here and we have a curve here. And those will be the most difficult, you know, and they're not difficult, but those would be the most difficult part of sewing this piece. So we're going to come in here and line up your needle with the end of that blue line. We're going to do a couple stitches, hit our reverse button, and go back a couple stitches. That locked us in place, that interlocked our stitches. And then we're going to sew just a straight line for this doll arm. Now we're coming to the curve. Okay, it looks like I'm going to go off that line. So I make sure my needle is down in the fabric. I lift up that presser foot, line up my needle in my traced line again. Do a couple more stitches. Looks like I'm going to stitch off that blue line again. So let's lift up that presser foot and readjust. Readjust. And then we're going to come down where that thumb is. So in the corner of that thumb, we're going to stop, lift up the presser foot, line up our traced line in front of our needle, and stitch a few stitches. Turn our fabric and adjust. Stitch another few stitches. Turn and adjust. And then we're getting back to the other corner of that thumb. So we're going to lift up, line up our line with our needle again, and continue to sew. Then get to the end, reverse, lock that in, lift up our needle, and see where I said sometimes it can feel like it doesn't want to come up. You just wiggle your little wheel over here on the side. It loosens up that thread, and then come over and tie or cut it off. Okay. Does anybody have any specific questions? Because my goal with doing this, I'm not an affiliate for Singer. I am not a seamstress. I don't sew clothes. We make primitive crafts here. Let me turn around here. Okay. my aim was to get you guys comfortable with sewing. For doing primitive crafts, all you need to do is be able to sew a straight stitch. Getting this machine out and learning how to do the bobbin and do the threading, it seems intimidating, but it's really not. You can come back and look at this video over and over again. A manual did not come with this sewing machine, but there was a link on one of the sheets of paper in the actual box that where you could go download the manual, and I think it's like 70 pages, or you could look at it online, and I think it's 70 pages because it's printed actually in several different languages. But my goal, my aim with this is to get you guys sewing, and for it not to be intimidating, for it to be fun, for you to be able to make primitive items and not have to glue them together. And I always say, not that gluing is bad, but true primitive crafting, the way it came about, it was a replication of what people would have made a long time ago. And again, they wouldn't have glued stuff together. So I want you guys to be able to sew, for it to be fun, for you to be confident in being able to pick up a pattern and being able to put it together and get good results. It's going to take practice. I know you're going to have hiccups the first couple times you try to do it, but over time and with practice, it's just going to be it's going to be fun, and I think you're going to enjoy some creativity that you haven't before, and you probably even come up with some ideas of your own that you don't even have to buy a pattern for, that you could sew together yourself. I agree too, Marlene. So does anybody have any questions? I know a couple of you bought this machine. I hope I did it justice with the tutorial. I'm looking at the video, I'm looking at the comments. If you are getting, Kimberly, if you are getting bunching of thread on the underside, that is going to be something with your tension. That's why I always say, and like my mother always told me, don't mess with the tension button. But hubby has been filming this the entire time, holding the camera. I can see that his arm is starting to fall off. So I hope I did this tutorial justice. You can come back and look at it anytime you want to. I'll be posting it to YouTube. And as always, if you don't already follow our page, we'd love it if you would hit that follow button. We also have videos on YouTube, and we have our Etsy shop that is chestnutjunction.etsy.com, where we have lots of e-patterns, and we have supplies, rusty bells, all kinds of goodies over there. So thanks for joining us tonight. You guys have a blessed evening. Bye-bye. What do you think?
What is it doing?
I don't know. I think we're still live.